The message wasn't meant for her. She opened it anyway. One tap, a soft click, and the kind of silence that changes everything. The screen lit her face in that half-blue, half-ghost light. He was in the shower. She'd been folding towels when the phone buzzed once. Then again, steady like a heartbeat. The preview line showed a name she didn't recognize, and a small heart emoji at the end. She tapped it. No hesitation, no noise. Just that hollow click of the glass. For a second, she thought she heard the water stop. It didn't. But the sound lodged somewhere deep, like the start of an echo she'd never unhear. The thread opened fast. Photos, old messages, flight details, plans. The first line read, "Once it's done, I'll come back. Promise." Her eyes moved slow, scanning every word like it might rearrange itself if she stared long enough. But it didn't. It stayed cruelly still. Steam rolled from the bathroom door. She locked the screen and placed the phone exactly where it was. Her hands were dry. Her throat wasn't. He came out humming. Same tune, same towel on his shoulders. He smiled, asked if she'd seen his gray shirt. She nodded. Her voice sounded normal. It scared her how easy that was. When he turned away, she looked at him like at a stranger rehearsing a familiar role. Everything he touched, the counter, the mug, the drawer, felt staged. The phone buzzed again. This time, she didn't move. He froze for a half second, then reached for it too casually. "Work thing," he said, but he didn't unlock it in front of her. Her heartbeat synced with the faint hum of the fridge. She could hear the water dripping from his hair onto the floor. Every drop landed like punctuation. He kissed her cheek on the way out. It felt like paper. The door shut. Silence settled heavy, as if the walls were holding their breath with her. She unlocked the phone again. No passcode change. One more thread, longer this time. His real life spelled out in a language she didn't speak, but the photos didn't need translation. For a second, she almost laughed. The absurdity, the detail, the stupid little emojis. Then her face went blank, the kind of blank that doesn't fade. She took a slow breath and started taking screenshots. The next morning, she made coffee like nothing had changed. Steam rose, slow and quiet, wrapping around the lie she'd decided to live, at least for now. He sat across from her, scrolling through his phone, pretending to read the news. His reflection in the kitchen window looked calm, almost gentle. The real one wasn't. She kept her tone steady. Small talk, small smiles. Every sentence felt like walking barefoot over glass. When he left for work, she waited for the sound of the car pulling away, then exhaled, long, controlled, almost like she'd been practicing it for years. The phone was still there. Same charger, same cord twisted into a knot. She plugged it in and started digging deeper. Screenshots first, then timestamps, then the names. He'd been planning it for months. The messages, the paperwork, the story they'd rehearsed for immigration. It was all written out, as if love had been just another checklist. By noon, she had a folder named Proof. She took breaks between folders, washing dishes, opening windows, pretending she wasn't shaking. Outside, a lawnmower droned somewhere far off. It made the moment feel too normal, too cruelly peaceful. When her friend Carla called, she didn't tell her, just said she'd been busy. Carla laughed, asked if Mr. Perfect was still cooking dinner every night. "Yeah," she said, "every night." That night, he came home with flowers, yellow ones, the kind he'd buy when he forgot her birthday once. He placed them in a jar, smiled like he'd done something grand. She thanked him softly, eyes steady. He poured wine, asked how her day was. "Productive," she said. He laughed, kissed her forehead, said he was proud of her discipline. In her head, she filed the moment under evidence. When he went to bed, she copied the last batch, a photo of him with a woman at an airport, her arm around his waist. Same date as their anniversary. Her hand hovered over the delete button, then stopped. No, Let him keep his secrets. She had hers now too. And for the first time in weeks, she slept through the night. The house felt cleaner when she stopped speaking to him. Not silent, just sterile. Every word now served a function. Past the salt, doors unlocked, dinners in the fridge. He seemed grateful for the calm, mistaking detachment for peace. She let him. Days slipped into a rhythm of muted sound. Coffee machine, keyboard clicks, the low hum of a ceiling fan. A quiet so steady it started to feel planned, like the house itself was keeping her secret. She'd learned to move through rooms without leaving traces. No raised voice, no sudden questions. Just patience, sharp and exact. Each night, she archived one more piece of proof, receipts, photos, screenshots labeled by date. She even printed a few, tucking them into a plain white envelope marked copy. One evening, he walked in earlier than usual. His cologne hit before the door closed. He placed his phone face down, too careful. "You're quiet lately," he said, smiling in that way that used to feel warm. She nodded, just tired. He studied her for a beat, like he was trying to locate the version of her that used to forgive easily. But she wasn't there anymore. Later, while he showered, she stood by the window, watching headlights pass through the blinds. Somewhere outside, a dog barked, then stopped. That pause, that small cut in the air, felt like the exact shape of her patience. In her mind, the idea of revenge had changed shape. It wasn't fire anymore. It was cold, clean, procedural. A kind of justice that didn't need to be seen to exist. At the kitchen table, she wrote a list. USCIS contact link. Evidence log order. Statement draft. Each item steadied her pulse. When he came out of the shower, steam fogged the hallway mirror. She looked at their reflection. Two people standing close, but already past each other. "Everything okay?" he asked. "Yeah," she said. "I just remembered something I have to send out tomorrow." Her tone was even, unshaken. He smiled, relieved. She smiled back, small, almost kind. But under her fingers, her phone screen glowed white, ready to upload the first file. The waiting room smelled like old paper and hand sanitizer. She sat with the envelope on her lap, corners bent from how tightly she'd been holding it. The man at the counter called her name with a tone that belonged to someone used to routine confessions. Inside the office, the air was cooler. A small flag on the desk, a clock ticking too loud. The agent, middle-aged, careful, polite, looked at her ID, then at her. "You're here to file a report?" She nodded once. "Yes, about a marriage. Fraud." He didn't flinch, just pulled a form closer. "You'll need to sign under penalty of perjury." Her pen didn't shake. She placed the folder on the desk, each document aligned perfectly. Messages, travel receipts, a copy of his online profile. One she hadn't known existed until 2 weeks ago. The agent scanned the first few pages. His eyebrows twitched. "You have a lot of detail." She met his eyes. "I had time." He nodded slowly, made a note, and said they'd review it within 60 days. She thanked him, left the office, and stepped into the parking lot. Sunlight hit too hard. It felt almost intrusive after the sterile quiet inside. In the car, she sat for a long minute, keys still in her hand. Her reflection in the rearview mirror looked older, not weaker, just stripped of anything unnecessary. That night, he noticed the envelope missing. "Did you take something from my drawer?" His tone cracked for the first time in months. "No," she said. "You must have misplaced it." He laughed once, dry, uneasy. "You've been acting weird." "Maybe," she said. "Maybe I got tired of pretending." Something flickered in his eyes then. A flash of fear, recognition, or maybe just the instinct of someone who knows the script is over. He didn't ask more. He just poured himself a drink, sat on the couch, and stared at nothing. The next morning, an email came through. "Your submission has been received." She read it twice, closed her laptop, and for the first time in months, turned off her phone completely. Outside, the world kept moving. Inside, something finally stopped. He left on a Thursday. No drama, no speech, just the dull sound of a zipper closing and the door catching behind him. The quiet that followed didn't feel like freedom. It felt like the air after a storm, thick, still deciding what to do next. She stood by the window, watching his car drift out of view. The house smelled like rain that never came. Everything looked cleaner, sharper, almost too honest. The kind of silence you don't fill, you just learn to live inside it. The flowers he'd bought last week leaned against each other, wilted in the jar. She didn't move them. They were perfect that way. Truth left out too long. Weeks later, she posted everything online. Not to humiliate, not to gloat, just to put things back in their right place. Screenshots, timelines, nothing poetic. It wasn't a cry for help. It was evidence. People came in waves, comments, messages, strangers calling her brave, others calling her cold. She didn't argue with any of them. You don't explain truth. You just show it once and let the noise do what it wants. One message stood out. "Thank you. I thought I was the only one." She read it twice and answered, "You're not." The phone buzzed again, softer this time, like it was apologizing for all the others. She left it face down on the table and listened to the hum of the fridge, the small click of the ceiling fan. The world was ordinary again. That was enough. Outside, a car door slammed somewhere down the street, and she thought, that's how it ends for most people. Not with yelling, with a sound you almost miss. And maybe that's the real kind of revenge. Not fire, not chaos. Just calm so complete it makes the liar disappear. She looked at the screen one last time before turning it off. When the truth finally becomes public, is it still revenge? Or just the only way left to stay human? Her reflection in the black glass smiled faintly. Somewhere, another woman was getting ready to speak, this time with a microphone, live, while the world watched. Funny how justice sounds different when it's said out loud. She closed the laptop, exhaled once, steady, final, and let the silence answer for her. There's another kind of silence, not on air, but inside a house when the talking stops. A mother was done paying for the place her son called his. She didn't argue.